Bam, there we go. Kind of forget to change that sometimes. Maybe I should stop doing that. But you know what? It's okay. We're here now, and the Phillies are wrapping up their 3-game series in Milwaukee. Have a chance to pick up the series victory. They already have the season tiebreaker over them, so tonight would just be extra salt to the wound for the Brewers. But a lot of history going around in baseball today. Tyler Mroz, Heat Ratio Sports Phillies pregame show when we talked about it yesterday. Phillies, a 5-1 victory over the Brewers. Like we mentioned, they only needed to win one game in this series to have the tiebreaker over them, and now they do. So now they have the tiebreaker over the LA Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers. And tonight, big night. Aaron Nola, 12-7, a 3.41 ERA against Freddie Peralta, 10-8 with a 3.81 ERA. And first and foremost, congrats to the Brewers. They are NL Central champions this year. It's their third time achieving that in the past 4 seasons. So the Brewers confirmed to be a top 3 seed. And congrats to them because they lost Craig Counsell this offseason. And he was supposed to be the reason that the Brewers were going to be so bad because they lost one of the best managers in the league. And it's funny how it happened because Counsell left to go coach the Cubs, the division rival. They didn't fire him or anything. He just left to go take that job from David Ross. The Cubs lost to the Oakland A's today. And that is the reason that the Brewers clinched it before the game tonight. So kind of poetic there. That Counsell losing there causes the Brewers to win the division. So congrats again to the Brewers, but not many lineup changes for them tonight. It's just Jake Bauers and Rhys Hoskins swapping positions. Bauers at DH, Rhys at first tonight. Former longtime Philly, one of my favorite players growing up for the Philly, not that one, Phillies. Garrett Stubbs is catching today, pretty much expected. It's not really a must-win game, although it's a win and you're in because if the Phillies win today, they officially clinch a playoff berth, not the National League East title or the number 1 seed, just a playoff berth. Players confirmed that they won't have a huge celebration like that champagne one. They said they are going to save that for when they win the division. So strong words coming from them, like the confidence. But Johan Rojas is starting tonight in center field. We've seen since Austin Hayes went down that Cal Stevenson and Johan Rojas have been the platooning in center field, and Brandon Marsh is like a full-time left fielder at this point. But apparently Austin Hayes, his infection is all gone, so he should be back sometime soon. But yeah, Rojas and Stubbs are in tonight. And we're going to get right to the keys to the game. Bombs away. You saw the home runs last night. The Phillies got pretty much, I wouldn't say dominated, but I mean, you look, they struck out 10 times yesterday. Or they struck out 10 times to the Brewers starting pitching. So they still got them early. Nick Castellanos hit a home run in the 3rd inning? Frankie Montas, 10 strikeouts. But you know what? The Phillies got him with home runs. He only gave up 3 runs, and all of those came from homers. So you have to make sure, especially, I've been saying it on the pregame show yesterday. I would be saying it anytime you play the Brewers. When you are playing a team like this, they are all about pitching. You are going to have to beat them on the offensive side because they are really, really good at pitching, and they will hold you to 3 to 4 runs max with their starting pitching. So you need to capitalize on the home runs. And the big 4 of this lineup with Kyle Schwarber, with Trey Turner, Castellanos, and Bryce Harper, they have been great so far this series. So I'm expecting a big night from those guys tonight as well. And then just patience. Talked about it yesterday with Frankie Montas. He throws a lot of pitches, and so does Freddie Peralta. Brewers like to throw their guys a lot of innings. Not innings, but pitches. 103, 86, 102, 105. So another guy that can and most likely will pitch over 100 pitches. I mean, he hasn't really gone deep in the games, around 5-6 innings. Last time he went 7 innings was June 30th, so it's been quite a while since he's done that. But this is a guy that's going to be throwing a lot of pitches, so you have to just be patient, take what you can get, make him throw all of those pitches. Because if you see a guy who's this used to throwing 100 pitches, only going 5 to 6 innings, if you just sit back and say he's having an off night and he can't locate, get him out earlier than he needs to be in. Don't give the Brewers anything easy, especially in an important game. Because, again, you have 4 games coming up in New York against the Mets. And then you have the Cubs right after. Not a tough series there, but still, they're vying for a playoff spot. Every game matters at this point of the season. Until you clinch that number 1 seed, Phillies need to be on their A game. So they still need to be on their A game for the rest of the season. And Peralta does have past success against the Phils, 36 strikeouts in 6 games. So he's averaging 6 strikeouts a game against them. But last time he did face them was 2023, struck out 10 guys. So Phillies really need to pick it up today. And we need a Nola night. Aaron Nola, credit to, let me pull up the tweet, to Luke Arseni. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the 3rd straight year Aaron Nola is going to start to send the Phillies to the playoffs. And this were his 2 stats. In Houston in 2022, that final game of the year when they clinched for the first time in almost a decade, 6.2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 9 strikeouts. And then last year's game against Pittsburgh with the Johan Rojas walk-off, 6.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. So I am anticipating a big night for Aaron Nola. He seems to always come in clutch for this team and for the 3rd straight year, which is pretty awesome considering he's the longest tenured Philly right now. He has the chance to send them to 3 straight postseasons, which is awesome. Yeah, it is time for Nola for the postseason. He's just getting started, but we are just getting started on this red hot triple play. So let's see what we got cooking tonight. Almost did it live tonight too, because we did it yesterday and we hit 3 of 4. Oh, I didn't actually get to do we'll do the bonus bet live. There we go. So best of both worlds. Aaron Nola over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 115. He's been striking out a ton of guys recently. And you saw last night, Zach Wheeler only struck out 6 or 7. But it's Aaron Nola. He's been striking guys out left and right recently. And we mentioned his stats in playoff clinching scenario games. He's struck out 8 and 9 in the past 2 years. So I'm expecting him to get anywhere from 7 to even 10. I wouldn't be surprised if he got over 10 tonight with how clutch he has. Nick Castellanos, 2+ hits at plus 265. That's a little bit of a stretch. That could arguably be a bonus bet one, but I do really like this because Castellanos against Peralta in his career, 7 for 17, a homer and 5 RBIs. So he's batting .412 against Peralta. And we mentioned earlier that he's been really hot in this series so far. Had the home run yesterday. So I am anticipating a 2+ hit game from Nick Castellanos. And then Freddie Peralta, under 6.5 strikeouts at minus 135. We're going to start doing both teams, make it fair. But look at his recent games. This is his strikeout numbers recently. 5, 4, 3, 8, 2, 3, 4, 6. So he's gotten over 6 strikeouts once in the past month, over a month. So this is a guy that can strike you out, and he most likely will. He's got, 184 strikeouts in how many innings pitched? 163. So he was averaging over a strikeout per inning, but hasn't really been doing much of that recently. So going to ride the coattails of what's been happening recently. So I am saying Freddie Peralta under 6.5 strikeouts. So let's see. What will we do for the bonus bet? It's usually a home run. Let's go. Let me look at the career stats. Schwarber has 2 home runs. Harper has 2 home runs off of Peralta. Both doing pretty well. Maybe we're just going to repeat the one from last night with a Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper home run. Because Harper's homered 3 of the last 4 games, so I could see it happening again. Harper and Schwarber, either player to hit a home run at plus 205. This hit last night, so I do like this. There we go. All right, so the bonus bet. A Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper home run at plus 205. So I do like that. They have past history against Freddie Peralta, and they've been hot this series, and Bryce Harper is going to go on a tear with his home runs to end this year. So I do like this. I do really like these bets. Nola over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 115. Cassie, 2+ hits at plus 265. And then Freddie Peralta under 6.5 strikeouts at minus 135, with the bonus bet being Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber to get a home run at plus 205. So we did this last night. Bryce Harper hit the home run. And guess what? I think we could potentially see both of these guys going yard tonight. You know what you should be doing tonight and right now, going over to Win Daily, using that code HEAT, get a scratch and save deal. You could get a full year for the price of 2 months. You never know what you're going to get, so make sure you are signing up for that today. Now, first half, always Philly. Second half, we talk about other stuff too, but we're going to talk about the National League playoff tracking. Dodgers, absolutely embarrassing loss to the Miami Marlins last night. I mean, you lose to the Marlins, you score 9 runs, and you still lose to that team, one of the worst in the league. Now they're 2 games back. So Phillies are starting to gain ground on them, but Dodgers do have a really easy schedule. Like we mentioned, they have the Marlins now, and then they have the Rockies for 2 more series. Let me look up their exact. You'd think I would have this down by now. I talk about it every day. Dodgers. Where are you, Los Angeles? Okay, top of the first right now. They did just get a run. Will Smith hit a home run. Why is it second? Oh, it just updated. It is the second inning. But yeah, they have the Marlins 2 games, Rockies for 3, Padres for 3, and then the Rockies for another 3. I did say I'm anticipating the Dodgers to be the number 1 seed, but I don't know. You lose to the Marlins in your first game. It's pretty embarrassing. So Dodgers are 2 games back as it stands. Don't need to talk about the Brewers. Leave that there for the next series when the Phillies are playing the Mets. Padres. I don't know if any of you saw this last night, but it was Jose Altuve at bat, and he hit it off of his foot. Looked like he fouled it, and it went to third. Umps called it fair, and he got thrown out. So Altuve arguing with the umps. He takes off his sock to show the bruise or redness of his foot to the umps to show that it actually did hit off of there. So he did get ejected, which it was pretty funny. I don't care if you like Altuve or not. That's pretty hilarious. Kind of reminds me of Patrick Beverly showing the referee the camera of the foul. But baseball is always better when it's fun. But we are rooting for the Padres tonight, actually, because – or no, we're not rooting for the Padres. Forget I said that. We're rooting against the Padres. We're rooting for the Astros. Yeah, I know. Tyler, what are you doing rooting for the Astros tonight? Well, if the Astros win, and in case the Phillies don't, the Phillies still clinch playoffs. Although you could make the argument, well, they're obviously going to clinch the playoffs. Why wouldn't you just have the Padres take another loss? It's up to you. Either way, we're not going to have to worry about that because the Phillies are going to win tonight. And then the Diamondbacks lost the series to the Rockies. So Rockies are playing a little bit of spoiler. And then they have the Dodgers for 6 games. So maybe they're going to play some more spoiler. Their manager, Bud Black, just set their franchise record for most wins. And that's pretty awful because he's not that good. I don't know if he's not that good of a manager or if he's just been there forever. And I don't know. He's been there for a long time. I mean, the Rockies aren't a historically great franchise. I mean, they have some bona fide Hall of Famers. But in recent memory, they've been awful. They haven't made the World Series since 2007. They lost to the Red Sox, but really haven't really come close. I think they made the NLCS in 1 or 2 years. But yeah, Rockies are a weird historic team, but right now, not great, but they're still playing spoiler, and we need them to keep that up. Diamondbacks are half a game up on the Mets. And speaking of the Mets, they're 2 full games up on the Braves, which is pretty crazy. Braves have been struggling big time recently, in the Mets playing the Nationals. Have Pete Alonso, who's a free agent in the offseason. They've been linked to Juan Soto, so they got stuff coming up, but they're focused on the playoffs right now. And right now, they are looking, I wouldn't say a lock because they have the Phillies for 4 games, and then they got the Braves for another 3. And then they finish off the season, with Dodgers? So is it the Dodgers? I think they have somebody really good for that final game because I know the Phillies have Mets, Nationals, Cubs. I think it's the Dodgers. Why do I think it is? Brewers. Oh, yeah. So division leader. Tough stretch for them, but the more games they win now, the better it looks for them because they have a tough schedule coming up. Yes, happy birthday to Spencer Turnbull. It is his birthday today. Wish he would come back soon. He would be a big boost out of the bullpen. Would much rather have him than Tyler Gilbert. No disrespect to Gilbert. I just really like Turnbull as a bullpen guy, especially in the playoffs. You're going to need those type of guys. Now, just for nice. Speaking of Phillies bullpen, talked about it last night about how Craig Kimbrell gave up 6 runs and his ERA was over 5.33. He was just designated for assignment today by the Orioles. He has been abysmal for them this season. My buddies went to the Orioles games and he came in, blew a game, and they were talking to some Orioles fans saying how awful he's been for them. And Barstool Baseball put out a headline today that said, Phillies fans, you were right. Craig Kimbrell is not that good at baseball anymore. And it's a shame because he's historically one of the best relievers. I wouldn't say of all time, but he's one of the better relievers in recent memory. Arguably a Hall of Famer. You could definitely make that debate, but a debate you can't make right now is that Craig Kimbrell is struggling and he will not be on the Orioles playoff rotation. He is off the 40-man roster now because when you get designated for assignment, you're off the 40-man roster. So I don't know if he's going to go down to the minors or if another team is going to sign him. I can't imagine a playoff team will sign him. That would just be mind-boggling, but I could see a lower-end team if they need bullpen help. Maybe they just sign him for the last 2 weeks of the season. So we'll see what happens with him. We mentioned Mets linked to Juan Soto. Well, he just made history. He hit a home run in every single major league ballpark. T-Mobile Park or field, whatever, the old Safeco was the only one he did not hit a homer in yesterday. He did that. So Juan Soto, only 26 years old, and he's going to get well over $500 million, I think. He's going to get the bag. He's going to stay with the Yankees. I just know he is. But another impressive thing to have on your resume. He's 26 years old. That's insane. He's been an MVP contender. He would probably be the MVP in the American Bobby Witt. So he's definitely going to finish top 3, I think, in voting. He'll finish number 3. I could even see him finishing 2 because the Yankees hype. They're probably going to be the 1 seed in the American League. So yeah, Yankees, another accolade to Juan Soto's young career. And then in football news, they had the 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame nominees. They announced it. Eli Manning is the headliner of this. I would expect him to be a first ballot. Don't think he does. I don't know, because I am all about championships. You look at regular season, Eli Manning, he's a good quarterback. That's really all. But he had 2 Super Bowl wins against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in their prime. That 16-0 season, Patriots were win away, and Eli Manning cooked them. He really cooked them. So I do think he's going to get in. I do think he deserves to be in. Donovan McNabb is a nominee. You look at quarterbacks, Randall Cunningham. I don't know how he's not in yet. Jeff Garcia, Donovan McNabb, Eli Manning, Steve McNair, and Tony Romo. He's not getting in, but that's just who's eligible. Sean Alexander, Tiki Barber, Jamal Charles. Oh, my goodness, that name. Marshawn Lynch is also up for nomination. I don't think he is going to make it. I don't know. Marshawn Beast Mode, I think he will. I think he has to. Darren Sproles. I got my jersey of him right here. I don't know. This was going to be the jersey of the season. They won week 1, but they lost week 2. So maybe I'm going to go back to the Kelsey jersey. We'll see. Let me know what I should do. Should I keep with the Sproles jersey or should I go to Kelsey? I'm not wearing the Minshew jersey. I'm sorry. He's playing for the Raiders. I'm not going to do that. But, I mean, really, that's the only players. That's the only 2 options I have right now are Darren Sproles or Jason Kelsey. So let me know. Sproles or Kelsey. What should I stick with? Anquan Bolden. He was really good for a number of years. Ocho Cinco. I don't know if he'll get in based off of numbers. Jordy Nelson, Steve Smith Sr., Demaryius Thomas, Hines Ward, Reggie Wayne, Wes Welker, and Roddy White. So that's a stacked receiver nomination group. Vernon Davis, he probably won't get in. Same thing with Delaney Walker, you could argue, but I think they just played to be too old. But someone who is getting in, Antonio Gates, I don't know how he didn't get in last season. He's one of the best tight ends ever. And the fact that he didn't get in as a first ballot, I don't know if that's just because they devalue the tight end position or what? Because I don't know. So he must have something against the voters. Uh, Offensive lineman, Travis Frederick, former Cowboy, Ryan Khalil, Joe Staley will get in, Marshall Yonder will get in, former Super Bowl champion Stefan Wisniewski, Jeff Saturday's on there, Jared Allen. I thought Jared Allen got in. Haloti Nada, former Eagle. Anyone else? Vince Wilfork, he'll get in. Linebackers, Luke Kuechly, first ballot, one of the best linebackers I've ever seen play. Terrell Suggs, he's getting in. Eric Berry, it sucks, man. Eric Berry should be in, but he's not because his injuries got cut so short because of the cancer diagnosis and because he just missed time with injuries. So it's a shame, but Eric Berry is nominated. Cam Chancellor, I think he'll get in. Keeb Talib, Rodney Harrison, Troy Vincent, Darren Woodson. So a lot of debates here. David Akers, one of the best kickers of all time for the Eagles. Probably the Eagles' best kicker, arguably with Jake Elliott creeping right below him. But right now it's still David Akers. And I think he'll get in. Vinatieri, first ballot, one of the best kickers of all time. Pat McAfee, no, he's not going to get in. I mean, if they do put a punter, I think eventually they'll put him in just because he actually was one of the better punters in the league. And he was a physical guy, had a couple of those onside kicks. But I don't think he'll get in right now, but I do eventually think that he will get in. So let me know, what do you think? David says Michael Vick should be in. I don't disagree with that. I definitely think he needs to be in. Really, he's one of a kind. That's really all you can say. Someone who could run 100 yards and juke all your guys out, someone who could throw the ball 80 yards downfield. So I do agree. I do think Michael Vick should be in the Hall of Fame. Obviously has the whole off of the field things, but I feel like he did his time. He's accepted by the media now. He is part of the football media, and he does a really good job. So I do think Michael Vick will be in at some point. And then the NFC and AFC offensive players of the week, not offensive, but Alvin Kamara won it in the NFC over Kyler Murray. That was a little bit of a debate, but Kamara did score 4 touchdowns, 180 total yards. I do think he definitely deserves it. We look at James Cook won AFC Offensive Player of the Week, 3 touchdown game from him. That was really no question. AFC Defensive Player of the Week, Max Crosby. What did he do? 6 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He is looking to be for sure a bona fide Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but we all knew that. He's one of the best DNs in the entire league. So good game for Max Crosby, especially against the Ravens, who have a decent offensive line. And then Jesse Bates of the Falcons wins Defensive Player of the Week in the NFC. Had that interception, 12 tackles, a tackle for loss. So really good game for him. Huge pickup for the Falcons finally coming through. Kaimi Fairbairn, Texans kicker, 3 field goals longer than 50 yards. No other kicker in NFL history has done that twice in his career. He just did that. So underrated guy. I really do think Fairbairn is really good. And then Austin Seibert, Commanders kicker. He signed 5 days before the game, and he kicked a field goal, 27, 55, 26, 27, 33, and 30. So really good first game for him, and even better with special teams player of the week in the NFC. And then I'm going to drop a little Woj bomb on here for you because Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski, senior NBA reporter, analyst, what is he called? Senior NBA insider. He retired. He's going to be the general manager at St. Bonaventure, which was out of nowhere news. I mean, he hasn't been reporting on much. You haven't heard a ton of noise from the NBA recently, but that's normal for this time of year. But Woj just sent out a whole long paragraph today announcing his retirement from ESPN and from the media, which is shocking news. So everybody is going to say that Shams Charania is going to replace him at ESPN. I did see Jake Fisher is a dark horse to replace him. So I do think if I'm ESPN, they're probably going to try to go all in for Shams. It's Woj and Shams. They would always had like an unspoken rivalry. They wouldn't hate I don't know if they hate each other. I don't know. There's no way of me knowing that unless one of them comes out and says that. But I don't think either of them would. But I mean, you have the guy. I mean, Shams was he was working for a draft book, so he was a little bit. I feel like his reputation was a little bit tarnished because you had the NBA draft if 2023, and he said the Charlotte Hornets are going to pick Scoot Henderson because he always announces the picks right before. But it's a little bit, it's just enough time to where people can place their bets. So he tweeted out that Charlotte Hornets are planning on taking Scoot Henderson. And what happened? They took Brandon Miller. And I just think that was a way to get some money for the draft book. Little bit of a bet. I wouldn't tweet that unless you absolutely mean it. So that reputation was a little bit tarnished from that, but now he has a chance to make everybody forget about all that, going to ESPN, taking over for Woj. It's like the Spurs going from Tim Duncan to Victor Wembanyama, and maybe someone else is looking. Maybe I will take over for Shams Charania one day, and then it's David Robinson to Tim Duncan to Victor Wembanyama. So it's Woj to Shams to Mroz. Maybe I'm putting my name in contention. ESPN, if you want to hire a senior NBA insider, I'm right here. My phone is open, so hit me up. I'm ready to go. But someone who's not going, the Philadelphia 76ers, they're staying in Philadelphia. You had the whole thing about them building a stadium in the Fashion Square Plaza. What is that in Philly? And then the whole renderings came out about moving the stadium to the Camden River waterfront, and people were ballistic about that. I'll never root for a team that's in New Jersey that has the Philadelphia name. People don't realize how close Camden is to Philadelphia. It is literally right over the bridge. I don't get why people were so mad about that. Maybe it's just because I'm from Jersey, and if I ever went to a Sixers game, it would save me $6 in tolls. So maybe that's why I'm not as mad as other people were about it. But they are staying in Center City. They are getting allegedly an arena there. The Philadelphia mayor came out today and said there's a handshake agreement, and they have to do some legal process work. But for now, it seems like the Sixers are going to get an arena in Center City where everybody thought it should have been in the first place. But I feel like the city really got pressure with the Camden. I really think the Camden thing was really serious. Sixers had their practice facility there. I don't think they really wanted to, but if they had to, I really think they would have. They're like, hey, we have this offer from Camden. We're going to move to New Jersey. You lose the Sixers. That's a huge economic loss for everything in Philly. And then they were like, all right, we'll give you the Center City Stadium. So Sixers do stay in Philly. They will be the Center City Sixers. That'd be pretty cool. That'll be, mark my words. This is September 19th, 18th, 2024. In 2032, when the Sixers move to Center City, I guarantee you the City Edition jerseys, it'll be Center City, and I'll have something with the skyscrapers. I would bet all my money on that. And I guarantee you that's going to happen when they eventually do move to the center of Philadelphia, Center City. Victor Hedman, NHL news for people that care about the NHL. He was named captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. The complete shocker of the offseason was Steven Stamkos leaving and going to the Nashville Predators. I did not think that in my lifetime I would see Steven Stamkos leave the Tampa Bay Lightning. They drafted him. He has been their captain for years. He has won multiple Stanley Cups with them, and he's gone. So now Victor Hedman is taking over as the captain there. And we got Nick Foligno. He is the new captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, was Jonathan Toews for a long time, but he has been out for over a year with back. I don't know if it's his back or something with his. He's not healthy right now. So Nick Foligno is captain of the Blackhawks. So two longtime captains being replaced in the NHL. Obviously, Flyers. Oh, that's in a couple weeks. I'm so excited for them. Mentioned them earlier. We'll do a Flyers video coming up on this page really, really soon. But post-game live tonight, 10 minutes after the final out. I'm just going to – I always say 5 to 10, but I'm setting it on 10 because it gives me enough time to be ready. And if I do go on earlier, great, I go on earlier. But it also – if I say 5 minutes, it doesn't give me like, oh, I got to be on it. I'm usually ready by then. But I'm just going to say 10 minutes just so it gives people time. But, yeah. That's going to be the new moniker going forward, 10 minutes after postgame, unless I have to do it a little bit later. But regardless, we'll be here 10 minutes after the final out. Make sure you're pressing that notification bell. You get notified as soon as we go live. Make sure you're also liking, commenting, and subscribing here at Heat Ratio Sports. Just the beginning. Got some exciting announcements coming soon, so stay tuned for those. You are not going to want to miss this. We are going to bring you the best content possible for this channel. But have a good night, everyone. See you at postgame. Go Phillies. And as always, stay fresh, my friends.